Okay, I should start by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start right at the beginning. So, how did you first discover comedy?
It's funny, Rhys. First of all, thanks for having me again, man. Like, I really appreciate it. But how did I discover comedy? I actually have a unique experience with comedy because I have two uncles who are stand-up comedians.
Oh,
And I grew up with not one, but two stand-up comedian uncles in the States. One of them ran a comedy club my entire childhood.
hmm.
And I thought he was like the funnest dude. So when I was a kid, I was literally like 6 years old. My uncle Joe had this comedy club that ran for like 30 years in Metro Detroit called Joey's. And I was like, I just all I want to do is get on stage and make people laugh. I could not understand why anybody wanted to do literally anything else.
Hmm. And so, how did you get started then? How did you sort of make your way into the industry?
Yeah, I started doing improv when I was in high school. I
Hmm.
had an art teacher who started this improv club at my high school. So I had this huge high school. I had this school with 6,000 students in
Wow.
Metro Detroit. Yeah, talk about being a number. Like you just didn't nobody ever knew nobody cared about you at all, dude.
Hmm.
Like you were so on your own. People would leave class, they just leave campus in the middle of the day, like nobody was keeping track of you. So we had this giant school, tons of different clubs, and my art teacher, a guy named Jordan Brunn, started this improv club because he had started doing improv himself, and he
Hmm.
just was like, this will be cool and fun to do. And it just became the total clubhouse for every misfit and
Hmm.
like comedy nerd, like strange kid who like didn't fit in. Like there was obviously theater kids, ugh, and then there was like thespians, yeah, and then there was like improv people who like I didn't do any theater in high school, but I did improv. I did a ton of improv. We had a show a month for like 4 years,
Hmm.
and my sophomore year, my uncle, the other one who was doing stand up, there was Joe, and then my uncle Mike came and saw me do stand up. And he had been a regular at Ridley's Comedy Castle in Detroit, Michigan. And Ridley's Comedy Castle was like the third comedy club that opened in America, basically.
Wow.
It was in the 1970s. There was the Improv in New York, the Ice House. And then he opened right before the Comedy Store opened in LA,
Hmm.
and then Zanies, I think, was the fourth, and that opened in Chicago. And so Mark Ridley had been running this club for forever, like 50 years, basically. At this
Hmm.
at this point, 50 years. And back then it was, geez, 30 something years. So he had been running it for a while. And my uncle Mike just was like, you got to do stand up at Ridley's. And he talked Ridley into letting me do stand up. And I like, and not to give pat myself on the back, but I like crushed my first set. It was a real, it's all been downhill from there. Like it was, I like surprisingly, and I was like 16 years old and I got up in front of this audience. And I think they were just like, they weren't even just being kind. I think they were just excited to see, they were like, oh man, this kid, he's
Hmm.
really got it. And then yeah, and then since then it's been a real it's been just I'm all I'm trying to do is recapture that magic,
Hmm.
Reese.
So how have you used sort of the improv and comedy? How have they blended together? How did you find using those two avenues?
Yeah, it's funny because improv gives you really good stage
Hmm.
instincts. Like you I think you get used to, for basically 2 years before I ever did any stand up, I got used to performing in front of a crowd,
Hmm.
understanding like what I'm about to say is about to be really funny, or like, whatever that feeling is. I feel like
Hmm.
your audience, especially of Brits, is like, this American is so full of himself, dude. Oh, do you think what you're gonna say is really funny,
Smashed my
buddy?
first gig and everything I'm going to say is really funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally smashed my first game. That's why I made sure to throw in there like, hey, all I've been doing is it's all been
Hmm.
downhill from there. The But I think that you get a certain amount of comfortability on stage. You kind of read an audience.
Hmm.
The challenge with stand up, I think if you start there, and I don't know because I didn't, but I can imagine that if you start there, the feeling of being on stage is delicate because
Hmm.
I have to say something funny. I've well crafted these jokes in order to try to land them really well. But improv is so much playing and so much fun, and like I'm just gonna go. I'll let my brain go crazy up here,
Mm,
and and I think all of that was very helpful. I think in terms of starting out.
mm.
So I mean, I do a lot of crowd work now. I don't know. I mean, that makes me now they really hate me because they're like, oh, and he's a crowd work comedian. This guy. It's like the lowest form of stand up in like many ways, but I do enjoy like interacting with the crowd and trying to actually get to know them, going on tangents. I think the freedom that comes from that is
Mm,
really good.
totally. So it's not just the American and Brits, as you've mentioned so far. I read online that you moved to France for a little while. So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
what drew you to that?
yeah. Now your audience really hates me. So, and he's French. This is so bad. Yeah, I've had a weird life and like a strange career,
Hmm.
and to be perfectly honest, I just like I think the French are weird. I think the French are completely strange, bizarre people. They make absolutely no. I mean, like listen, I'm as an American, I understand that this country and my culture is completely insane,
Hmm.
right? Like completely bonkers. I
Hmm.
can't. I'm right now. I'm talking to you live from Austin, Texas. Here in Texas, I can't go buy a joint somewhere. Like I can't just be like, let me just go smoke a little weed. But what I can do is just walk in and buy a firearm anywhere. I can just do that. I don't even need to show them anything. I can just walk in and be like, give me an assault rifle, please. Oh, pardon me, sir. You look really angry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That doesn't matter. It's my Second Amendment right. But if I try to, take an edible to calm myself down, they
Yeah, not
that's
allowed.
illegal. That'll land me in jail. So anyway, I understand that my culture is like completely nuts.
Hmm.
And because I have a British family, grandmother's from Edinburgh, grandfather's from Oxford, I understand the idiosyncrasies of
Hmm.
British culture as well. But the French are on their own planet. Like they are, they are so nuts. And the best part about it, and this is what makes them so funny, is that they take themselves extremely
Hmm.
seriously. Like I think that British culture, I think in terms of its best foibles, is that Brits do not take themselves very
Oh,
seriously. In
not
fact,
at
if you
all.
do take yourself seriously, it's a real like this guy. Like which is why I think Americans are kind of funny to Brits, is that we're so authentically
Hmm.
enthusiastic, and that's like we just come off like we're a bunch of puppies, or at
Hmm.
best, or a bunch of psychos at worst. Um, but the French are somehow none of those things, not enthusiastic and serious, and like it's amazing.
Hmm.
So I have a real love of French culture. They truly do believe they have the best country in the world and the best
Hmm.
culture in the world. And you know what? Maybe they're a little bit right. So some years ago, I decided to go try to start. I like living there. I have friends there. Many years ago, I worked there
Hmm.
and decided I was going to go try to get involved with the English speaking stand up comedy scene. And it was just in kind of its nascent days in 2013. So you could arrive, and if you knew how to do stand up and you knew how to write jokes, or they
Hmm.
just you got access. Like some of I met Gad Emale, I met Yassine Balouse, I met Fari, I met like all these Paul Taylor, all these like big time now French comedians, or even kind of big time then. The access was right there, so it was just
Hmm.
fun. It was just fun to do, and like fun to go explore that scene, and try to figure out what would make the French laugh.
Hmm. And so do you speak French then? Were you totally immersed in the French culture while you were there?
I do speak. I speak French.
Hmm.
I wasn't really doing a lot of stand up in French. I was doing a lot of stand up in English,
Okay.
but to kind of a mixed and international audience. I mean, the cool thing about stand up in Europe these days is that there's enough of an international audience in pretty much every major
Hmm.
European city that you can do stand up in English,
Yeah.
and people want to see it. I think it's one of really the only two uniquely American art forms. Not to say that
Hmm.
British comedy was not the original. I get it. Y'all invented humor, like, but stand up comedy, and it's like I have a microphone and I'm standing here
Hmm.
telling you jokes. I think is uniquely created from American jazz clubs, and
Hmm.
that's like one of our two actual unique cultural exports. The other one
Hmm.
being jazz.
Hmm. So obviously, jumping forward a little bit, then you took a show to the Edinburgh Fringe. You've been to the Edinburgh Fringe before. What was
Hmm.
the show that you took the first time?
Yeah, so in 2017, I did a show called Prophet of Doom.
Hmm.
And so I had recorded a comedy special in Chicago in 2016. And it's crazy now, that was like 10 years ago. But this was before the election.
Hmm.
And in that special, I ended it with this whole I feel like I'm a pretty negative person. I'm not, Reese, I'm not that positive most of the time. And it ended basically with me. I have this story that I tell in it about how there's no poetic justice in the universe,
Mm.
and I, tell a couple of stories that illustrate that, and then I ended the show with, uh, "There's no poetic justice in the universe. The ship is going down. Everything is getting worse. Donald Trump is going to be elected," and then he was.
The first time.
So the first time, Winston Churchill has a great quote where he's like, "America will always end up choosing the right thing in the end after exhausting all other possibilities."
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we're watching that happen again in real time.
Mm.
Like it will have been 12 years at the end of this run, assuming he leaves office.
Mm. Well, yes.
Uh, and it's like kind of like people will look back on this in the future and be like, what were we all? That was a weird warp that we were
Mm.
all in for
Mm.
that period of time.
Mm.
Anyway, um, so I did this show called Prophet of Doom, and it was at Just the Tonic, and it was just about me talking about the end of the world.
Mm.
Really positive guy on stage, and like talking about the end of the world, talking about a little bit British politics, American politics, and then sort of what I foresaw, and that was pretty cool. And then I came back in 2022 with a show called Work, which was WU umlaut RK Work,
Mm.
and which was hilarious because it attracted a lot of Germans to like come
Yeah,
and see
that's
the show. They were like, "Is this a German show?" I was like, "Nah, this is not a German show. This is Oh, you're an American, but why are you writing in the German?" Like, yeah, it's just ironic. Like, oh,
an,
but like the Germans do not understand irony. I feel like
an
it's not.
American in Scotland with a German show.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
I'm
it.
the best thing that happened. The show was entirely just about work. It was just
Mm.
all about work and working culture and American working culture. And I would just sometimes just say there's no punchline. Sometimes I just say facts about American working culture. I'm like, yeah, the average American works like 54 hours a week, and they're like, what? Like,
Mm.
yeah, dude, we don't get any time off. Like, it's insane. Uh, but the best thing that happened was two Germans came to see the show, and that was it. Like one night, I just had, how the Fringe is. It's like I had sold out a bunch of sold out shows, and then like one night, randomly on a Wednesday, it's like just two Germans, and I was like, well, guys, like I can do the show for you if you want, but like this is going to be pretty awkward. They were like, no, we paid for the tickets. We'd like
Yeah.
to see the show. Like so I do the show and I'm like doing the jokes and I can see this guy. It's him and his wife, and they're sitting in the front. They're sitting in the front row also, which is like spectacular. I'm doing the show just to them, and the guy's like, he would turn to his like wife and he would be like, yeah, so er sagte, and he would start like translating the joke,
Oh.
and then every once in a while. I would say a joke and then he would just sit there and not translate it. I was like, "Hey, dude, what are you not translating that?" Oh, she would not find this funny. Like, okay, oh, okay, thanks, man. Like,
But you also took a show that I believe was called ADHD, a comedy of crowd work.
yeah, yeah, that show's coming up this year. Yeah, ADHD, a comedy crowd work show. So, I've in 2024, I went to Philippe Gaulier,
Hmm.
uh, famous clown school. Obviously, I feel like everybody in the UK theater community knows about it, but
Hmm.
hardly anybody in the States does, unless they're a huge comedy
Hmm.
nerd like me. Um, and so I did a lot of clown training. Is it a clown show? No. Is it an improv show? Kinda. Yes, I'm improvising everything, and I'm not walking in with anything. It's entirely crowd work.
Oh.
It's going to be totally nuts. The show is about 40 minutes long. We'll see. It'll probably run between 30 and 45, depending on how
Hmm.
enthusiastic the crowd is with anything that's going on.
Hmm.
And it's going to be different every night. It'll be any whatever people bring in. I'm going to unpack it. We're going to go work, talk about it. It's going to be nuts.
And so, how would you sort of prepare for a show where you don't know what's going to happen? How would you kind of get ready for whatever the audience want to share?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. It's basically it's a very liminal, frenetic, high energy. Like you, something always has to be going on.
Hmm.
I'm getting to know the crowd. I'm working the room. It's the only way to do it is by doing
Yeah.
it. Basically, it's like jumping in the water. So, doing a lot of different crowd work sets when I'm doing stand up. Doing a lot of connecting and talking, having a lot of stories at the ready. I mean, I
Hmm.
just threw out like three of them on this on this call, like that kind of stuff where
Hmm.
I'm kind of just gregariously attempting to pull interesting elements and weave them together in real time. So
Hmm.
like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, it could be a real nothing burger, man. Like, you
Hmm.
could show up to the thing, and then like one night you might come on a Tuesday and be like, "Yeah, I saw Lemon's '88 show. It was rubbish." Like the guy, the guy got up there and couldn't
Hmm.
make any sense. And then somebody else might see it and be like, "Oh my god, it was brilliant! Like it was crazy! Like I couldn't believe he brought
Hmm.
like those three elements together by the end." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I don't know. You're watching a somebody perform a high wire act that they're improvising in real time, basically."
Yeah. So obviously you mentioned that you've been to the Fringe now a few times with different shows. So normally I ask people, "Oh, what's it like getting the notification that you're heading to the Fringe?" But obviously you're returning. So is there like added pressure? How is it different the second time around?
Well, this will be my third Fringe doing a
Wow.
full run. This is my fifth Fringe altogether.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like as an American, well, how am I this stubborn? You know what I mean? Like, how did I? Why can't I get the message? I'm not wanted. Like, the community has yet to embrace me. I think part of it, man, is like why do I come back? I love Scotland. I love
Hmm.
Edinburgh. It's my grandmother's from. Um, she grew up in Haymarket many years ago, and yeah, I just think it's like comedy summer camp, dude.
Hmm.
And I feel like it also the Fringe is so nuts because this, like your listeners probably know this, is I mean your viewers probably know this, subscribers, followers, you're leading them, they're following you anyway. They probably know that like you do it takes like two Fringes,
Hmm.
almost maybe even three, before you start getting like, oh, I get how this works.
Hmm.
Like, so this year I'm doing two shows a day
Wow.
because I'm a psycho and I honestly, Reese, I want to lose my mind. Like I want to go crazy. I think I
Hmm.
want to I want to go I want to experience ego death in the form of constant performance to the end of my ability,
Hmm.
you know.
So it might come as a surprise, but I've not been to the Edinburgh Fringe before. This year will be my first year. Um,
Dude,
yeah, I've heard so many
where are you
stories.
staying?
I'm apparently about 30 minutes bus away from the Big Four.
Not that bad. Yeah, not that
No, it should
bad.
be all right. Um,
No, so are you bringing a show or are you
no,
going
no,
to
just
see
as a
some?
punter, as a viewer, audience member. But I have heard crazy stories. How busy it is, sort of how
Yeah,
much
it's
going on at the
insane.
same time.
Yeah, you're gonna, but I feel like as a viewer, it's not as big. I
Yeah.
mean, you'll be overwhelmed because you'll
Yeah.
want to see so many things.
Hmm.
What you really should do, and I like, I've thought about doing this myself, is either have like a podcast, which you already have, or like
Hmm.
have a review, like blog or something, and
Mm.
then just go. You're the celebrity. Like
Yeah.
all the people want you to come and review their shows. So
Mm.
they would constantly be like, no, 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 come, no, no, come on. Like, no, no, no. They'll take you out to dinner. They'll buy you drinks. They'll like whatever you want. They just need somebody to
Mm.
believe in them and publicly say it so that they can start trying to get,
Yeah.
reviews that they can throw up. How many stars? Just give it 6 stars. Give somebody 6 stars. It'll be the
You only rate
first
out of five, but
thing.
give six.
Yeah, give six. I gave it another star. Why? Because I can do that. I don't. Who wrote the rules? Nobody said only 5 stars. I gave it 6. Like you can so totally. You would be like
Mm.
a celebrity. I've even thought about doing that as a joke, just wandering around, being like, I'm a pod and having like a like a fucking selfie stick,
Microphone
like
in
taking
one,
yeah
notebook in the
yeah
other.
exactly yeah I'm here. I'm a reviewer. I'm actually like I'm with the New York Times. Like like just and they don't know.
But that is pretty much my plan is I do reviews as well. So I have been starting to get invited to some shows. So I'm very excited. Obviously, you talked about you can't really prepare for the show, but how are you getting ready for the journey then, the adventure to Edinburgh rather than the show itself?
Yeah, so I mean, I have 2 shows, right? So I'm doing
Yeah.
ADHD, and then the other one I'm doing is called an American comedy show that quite possibly might be funny to the
Hmm.
British. And that show is scripted and
Okay.
is like a lot of material. Doing a lot of writing on that show still, um, getting a lot of dates to work it out, trying to do preview shows all over the place.
Mm.
I'm really putting a lot of energy and effort into that show, and that is a another. Um, what do I want to say? I'm basically doing Up America again, which
Hmm.
is, the poster is just a dumpster on fire that has the American flag on it. And then there's an eagle sitting on it that's like actively shitting in it. It's like,
Mm.
it's a real, yeah, it's a
Mm.
real Donnybrook. I mean, and you guys know because you see the news. So,
Yes.
but I'm also kind of, I think, making fun of British culture a little
Yeah.
bit in there because it's like, it's in, in the splash zone. Anyway, uh, so that is a lot of preparation. But in terms of like getting ready for Edinburgh, I mean, you got to get your living situation handled,
Hmm.
which is I've already got handled. Advertising, posters, venues, I've already got all that stuff set up. Um, the the biggest thing I think mentally is getting yourself like you're running a marathon,
Hmm.
right? You're running in fact, it's like you're running an ultra marathon. So you really need to pace yourself. Like I got the first year I ever did Edinburgh, I showed up with my buddy and we were both doing shows. We had never been to the Fringe before. And we were walking around like, yeah, we're like high-fiving people and like handing out flyers like
Mm.
day one. Like the Fringe hasn't even really started yet. And we're walking around just giving out all this energy. And this Irish comedian stopped us and he was like, yeah, mate, you've really got to not do this much energy. Like you're gonna wear yourself out. And I
Mm.
was like, thanks, man. Do you like that terrible Irish accent? Anyway, he like he was really like, dude, you need to pace yourself.
Mm.
And I didn't really take him up on that in the first year, and I burnt out so hard.
Mm.
Because emotionally just trying to handle putting out a show for an hour every day, flyering, pushing people to go to the show, it's a lot. And the
Mm.
second year, I paced myself way better and had a way better time. Like
Got it.
you can't let any of it affect you. You have to
Mm.
just kind of like, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do a great show every night. I'm gonna bring a lot of energy to this audience and it's
Yeah.
gonna kick a ton of butt no matter what happens. And then at
Got it.
night you just go straight back home and go to sleep.
Yeah. But keeping that sort of self-care idea, obviously you've continued the path of looking after yourself by, just putting on 2 shows this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go nuts. Well, my friend Mike Rice, the comedian,
Mm.
he did 2 shows probably, boy, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. And I was like, I'm gonna do 2 shows. I almost did three, and I had to have friends like talk me off a ledge. They were like, dude, you seriously do not do that. That's insane. 2 shows is nuts. But Mike did two. I want to do two. I just like the challenge. I
Mm.
like to challenge myself like that. So uh,
Yeah.
it's a feather in his cap. I'll have it be a feather in my cap. We'll see how it
Okay.
goes.
Mm. So we are coming to the end of my questions, but I have a couple more. So where can people stay up to date with you and the show?
The best thing is to follow me on socials. I'm at Brendon freaking Lemon
Hmm.
on TikTok and Instagram, Brendon and then freaking lemon and then underscore on TikTok. Pardon me, on Instagram or Brendon freaking lemon on TikTok. That's probably the best place because I'll be talking a lot about that. And I post a ton of different content about there.
Hmm.
They'll get there and then they'll look and go, this guy doesn't seem like a comedian. He's mostly just ranting about American politics. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's kind of what's driving me insane lately.
Mm,
And because I'm not sure it's always funny, you know.
yeah.
The show will be funny. Show will be a
Mm.
good time though. So
I
that's
will
what people can follow.
I'll put all the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. My final question is, what advice do you have for young comedians looking to get into the industry?
Man, Robin Williams once said, don't. And because he was like, if they listen to me, then they shouldn't be in it. And if they really are should be in it, then they won't listen to me anyway.
Mm,
Um, I think it's like what I think is amazing today. I think there's two things that are problems, and this might be more complicated of an answer than you were
mm,
asking for. But like on one hand, it's never been more accessible. Like you
mhm,
can literally, there's a guy who I was doing stand up with at Broadway Comedy Club in New York in the fall, and that dude posted two clips, just two. New Instagram account, two clips. He blew up. He's got like,
wow.
I don't know, 50,000 to 60,000 followers now just from two clips
Yeah.
because they were just so fire. They were so good, just those
Mhm,
first two clips. And that's amazing. The thing that is strange about that, and I think he'll be fine. Like it's not about this guy. He'll
mm,
continue to do great. But the weird thing about it is, it used to be the case that when I first started doing comedy, which was 2000, um, I've been doing this for 26 years. It was a different industry.
mhm,
You had to work a lot and hone a lot of skill in order to be recognized for
mm,
anything. Now, one or two, magic viral moments that you're able to capture can like really blow you up. But how do you sustain that? So it's
mhm,
weird because I think that any new comic I would give the advice to, like, you actually do need to be patient.
mhm,
Like, and I don't mean don't go for it. Like, you should obviously do that, but like, make sure that you're in a place where you're ready for whatever is about to
mhm,
happen, because I'm not sure everybody that happens to is.
totally, totally. So I said at the beginning, but I'll end the same way. Thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. As I said, I'll put the links below so people can scroll down and click away. But I wish you the best of luck, and I shall speak to you soon.
Thanks so much. Before we go, where did you get this shirt, bro?
It was from Sheen.
Amazing. All right, cool. Thank you for having
Speak to
me.
you
Really
soon.
appreciate it.